Okay, Steve again here. Hope you're doing okay. This is taken from my book Jubilees Insights from chapter 5. And this I've called that chapter The Fallen Angels. Again, I will read to you what the original text says from the book of Jubilees, and then I'll go back and show you some of the comments, cross-references for maybe just one or two of the verses in my book, Jubilees Insights, so you can get a taste of what the book is like. So this is an audio for my book, Jubilees Insights. So a sample here from chapter 5, verse 1. And it came to pass when the children of men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the angels of God saw them on a certain year of this Jubilee, that they were beautiful to look upon. And they took themselves wives of all whom they chose, and they bare unto them sons, and they were giants. Verse 2. And lawlessness increased on the earth, and all flesh corrupted its way, alike men and cattle, and beasts and birds, and everything that walks on the earth. All of them corrupted their ways and their orders, and they began to devour each other, and lawlessness increased on the earth. Every imagination of the thoughts of all men was as evil continually. Verse 3. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, and all flesh had corrupted its orders, and all that were upon the earth had wrought all manner of evil before his eyes. Verse 4. And he said that he would destroy man and all flesh upon the face of the earth, which he had created. Verse 5. But Noah found grace before the eyes of the Lord. Verse 6. And against the angels whom he had sent upon the earth, he was exceedingly wroth, and he gave commandment to root them out of all their dominion, and he bade us to bind them in the depths of the earth. And behold, they are bound in the midst of them, and were kept separate. Verse 7. And against their sons went forth a command from before his face, they should be smitten with the sword, and be removed from under heaven. Verse 8. And he said, My spirit shall not always abide on man, for they also are flesh, and their days shall be 120 years. Verse 9. And he sent his sword into their midst, that each should slay his neighbour, and they began to slay each other, till they all fell by the sword, and were destroyed from the earth. Verse 10. And their fathers, the fallen angels, were witnesses of their destruction, and after this they were bound in the depths of the earth forever, until the day of the great condemnation, when judgment is executed on all those who have corrupted their ways and their works before the Lord. Verse 11 and 12. He destroyed all from their places, and there was not left one of them whom he judged not according to all their wickedness. And he made for all his works a new and righteous nature, so they should not sin in the whole nature forever, but should be all righteous, each in his kind always. Verse 13. And the judgment of all is ordained and written on the heavenly tablets in righteousness, even the judgment of all who depart from the path which is ordained for them to walk in. And if they walk not therein, judgment is written down for every creature and for every kind. Verse 14. And there's nothing in heaven, or on earth, or in light, or in darkness, or in Sheol, or in the depth, or in the place of darkness, which is not judged, and all their judgments are ordained and written and engraved. Verse 15 and 16. In regard to all, he will judge the great according to his greatness, and the small according to his smallness, and each according to his way. And he is not one who will regard the person of any, nor is he one who will receive gifts. If he says they will judge, if he if one give everything that is on the earth, he will not regard the gifts of the person of any, nor accept anything in his hands, for he is a righteous judge. Verse 17. And of the children of Israel it has been written and ordained, if they turn to him in righteousness, he will forgive all their transgressions and pardon all their sins. 18. It is written and ordained, he will show mercy to all who turn from all their guilt once each year. 19. And as for all those who corrupted their ways and their thoughts before the flood, no man's person was accepted save that of Noah alone. For his person was accepted in behalf of his sons, whom God saved from the waters of the flood on his account. For his heart was righteous in all his ways, according as it was commanded regarding him, and he had not departed from aught that was ordained for him. Verse 20-21. And the Lord said he would destroy everything which is upon the earth, both men and cattle and beasts, fowl of the air, that which moves on the earth. 21. And he commanded Noah to make him an ark, he might save himself from the waters of the flood. Verse 22. And Noah made the ark in all respects as he commanded him. On the 27th Jubilee of years, in the 5th week, in the 5th year, on the new moon of the first month, 13:07 a.m. Verse 27-28. And thus shalt thou make it 300 cubits in length, 50 cubits broad, 30 cubits high. And thou shalt make unto the door, open its side, and to a cubit shalt thou finish above, and cover it within and without with pitch. Verse 23. And he entered in the 6th year thereof, 13:08 a.m., in the 2nd month, on the new moon of the 2nd month, till the 16th. And he entered, and all that we brought to him into the ark, and the Lord closed it from without on the 17th evening. 24. And the Lord opened 7 floodgates of heaven, and the mouths of the fountains of the great deep, 7 mouths in number. Verse 25. And the floodgates began to pour down water from the heaven 40 days and 40 nights. And the fountains of the deep also sent up waters, till the whole world was full of water. Verse 26. And the waters increased upon the earth, 15 cubits did the waters rise above all the high mountains, and the ark was lifted up above the earth, and it moved upon the face of the waters. 27. And the water prevailed on the face of the earth 5 months, 150 days. Verse 28. And the ark went and rested on the top of Lubah, one of the mountains of Ararat. 29. On the new moon in the 4th month, the fountains of the great deep were closed, and the floodgates of heaven were restrained. And on the new moon of the 7th month, all the mouths of the abysses of the earth were opened, and the water began to descend into the deep below. Verse 30. And on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen, and on the new moon of the 1st month, the earth became visible. 31. And the waters disappeared from above the earth in the 5th week, in the 7th year, 13:09 a.m. thereof. On the 17th day, in the 2nd month, the earth was dry. 32, the last verse. And on the 27th thereof, he opened the ark, and sent forth from it beasts and cattle and birds and every moving thing. Okay, now I'll give you an example from my book, Jubilee's Insights, from, let's say, verse 3. I'll read it again. Verse 3. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, and all flesh had corrupted its orders, and all that were upon the earth had wrought all manner of evil before his eyes. So here's comment number 8 from this chapter, from Jubilee's Insights. Corrupted its orders. Here it's saying that somehow the fallen angels managed to corrupt the species barrier, put in place by God himself. The first fallen angels cohabited with women, and 200 of those original angels that fell were locked up. However, later in time, many more angels fell, and not being content to barely breed with women as they degenerated, they eventually, during the latter years prior to the Great Flood, managed to somehow procreate with all kinds of creatures and beasts, and thus creating the chimeras of all types, including mermaids, centaurs, Minotaur, Harpies, and countless others. See my book Enoch Insights and Jasher Insights for a lot more details on this subject. Jasher 4:16 and 18. And all the sons of men departed from the ways of the Lord in those days, as they multiplied upon the face of the earth with sons and daughters, and they taught one another their evil practices, and they continued sinning against the Lord. And their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men, and took their wives by force from their husbands, according to their choice, and the sons of men, in commas, sons of God, equal to fallen angels, in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowl of the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with another, in order to therewith provoke the Lord. And God saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its ways upon earth, all men and all animals. Comment number 9. Is it just possible that the sons of God, the fallen angels, and their sons the giants, were the judges and rulers over mankind in those days, as mentioned in his last verse of Jasher 4:16 and 18? It's a golden age of the giants and demigods in the 500 years before the great flood of Noah. So I've given you there just 2 comments on one particular verse in this chapter. It's that chock-a-block full of information. So I hope you will get my book, Jubilee's Insights by S.N. Stratt. I hope you enjoyed that short audio. Have a great day. Bye for now.